The next topic is quite interesting. Best of breed. We all talk about it, but what is it really? And by the way, is it for everyone? Marcus, I know that you have some really hard opinion on this one. So I will start by asking, is best of breed for everyone?
Yeah, that's basically a good question. And I would say marketing says, again, best of breed is for everyone, but we have an opinionated view on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's discuss that a little bit more. So I would say best of breed is basically best of breed for your differentiation. If you're not different, if you're just selling a marketplace, there's no need to have a best of breed setup. Yeah, there are pretty good standard systems outside which you can use, leverage, and just go with them, and you're basically happy. Yeah, so on the one side, best of breed can really leverage you and being very specific on your needs. Maybe if you have subscription business or if you have very special needs and integrations on that. But on the other side, if you're just standard and this is not meant in a rude way, then you most probably should just use a common standard software in that case. And the second point which I'm seeing is, let's call it the Gartner trap. Yeah. What is actually on the market is that if you buy Gartner, you're top of the pops. And back in the days, you said nobody was fired for hiring IBM. And basically, it's basically the same with Gartner and the composable world. Yeah. But in the end, if you just buy according to the Gartner quadrant in that case, you're not top of the pops if you don't adapt that journey, which we discussed in the last sessions. In that case, that's my point of view on the Gartner.
Yeah. And I really like that, because a lot of people are saying we are talking to the companies in the top corner of the Gartner. But what they should actually is look inside their own organization and say, am I really that special? And
exactly.
what is my true differentiators? And then look for standard systems to handle all the other stuff. And you have some of them there is that focus on your differentiation, step by step, understanding where is your competitive advantage. I'm coming from a strategic world where good old Mr. Porter was talking about it all the time. What is your competitive advantage? Where do you want to go? You need to stick on a strategy, either being cost efficient or being different. How do you compete? And then most people, they tend to buy top-notch Gartner quadrant tools, and they end up being stuck in the middle, because during that they found out, oh, I'm so special, so I need to change something. I need to custom build something either into it or around it. And then suddenly they are stuck in the middle, as good old Michael Porter said. So I really like this. I really like this. That's best of breed for your differentiation, not the other way around.
And on the other hand, we all know how Gartner works. Yeah. So that's basically the other side of the medal. So using the Gartner quadrant to have orientation, check mark on that. Buying it just because it's in the upper right corner, I would say let's discuss that again.
Yeah, exactly.
The third point, which I'm seeing actually on the best of breed angle, is SIs, and we're also SI as well, and their partner ecosystem. And also cutting down the bullshit here, every SI and every software vendor have some partnerships. So most probably you will end up buying an offer with an SI with their partners in terms of search, CMS, and so on and so forth. That's totally fair, yeah, because they're working together and so on and so forth. But as a merchant, reflecting the flip side of the coin, you have to really think, is it that what I really need on the one side? Do I have the skills to rate that? Is it the right SI with the right vendor, with the right tool set on the one side? Or as a merchant, do I just search somebody who's building a revenue machine for me? If somebody is searching for a revenue machine, that's totally okay. Then you go with that approach. If you're more technically skilled, basically, then you can choose the SI from the vendors pretty independently, because also there are some bundles on the market which not have to be the perfect choice for the merchant itself. So that's my point and the hard truth about the SIs and the partner ecosystem there.
I told we need to remember that the SIs also need to make money and sell a lot of hours. So there's something there that you need to handle in in when saying this is best practice or best of breed, because what is really best practice?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
would say going to the next point, which is the differentiation. Yeah. So we touched that topic a few times in the talks. You really have to focus where you differentiate. If it's the front end subscription logic in the front end, complex requirements in the front end to, let's say, customize tool chains or something like that, then you focus on differentiation on that angle. But you wouldn't build your OMS for your own. Or if you talk about data storages which are attached to some streaming architecture like Kafka, you wouldn't build that on your own, because the devil is within the details. Yeah, this the more you're getting to below the surface, you will end up by questions: how I do authorizing, how do I do security updates, and so on and so far. And most probably the engineers are in that way, that they say, hey, we built it on our own, and 80% it's just a database with some API. No, it's not. The complexity is about operating on those topics, really making thorough full discussions in the product management, and then streamline everything for the broad market in that case. And as you said, Toke, if you are super different, go for it, yeah, but make sure that you have the team for it to customize that as well.
I totally agree.
And I would say, last thing, do it step by step. Yeah. So making small steps in the execution is really needed in that case. And it also gives you the trust on the shareholder side, that you're getting recognized and that your efforts are being honored. Yeah. So if you're showing we're delivering, there's another iteration on it, and we're just checking the boxes on that case, basically, then you as an engineering lead or engineer, then you're also being recognized and have the trust by your leadership team if you do it step by step rather a big bang, because we all know that there was only one successful big bang in the history, which we can remember, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love that quote. Excellent. You also have another slide with us where you actually say a bit more on what is really important when you have this kind of focus on your differentiation. Can you please bring that up?
Yeah, sure. So maybe it's called the holy grail of composability. I would say that comparing composability and standard systems or suite systems are super different. Yeah, standard systems, no matter if it's beginner or standard solution, are leveraging the productivity at the start on high level. And I would say that composable, even if marketing is telling you that is not on the point, there is a way to go. But over the time, composability picks up on the productivity, yeah, while standard systems on the customization level are just dropping down due to dependencies, updates, and so on and so forth. And I would say you really have to choose, as you asked at the beginning, are you really special? Should I differentiate on that point? And even then, you have the decision-making process between we can do standard with some differentiation, or should we go composable because all of the capabilities or many of the capabilities are so special that we need to go composable in that case.
Yeah,
That's my
and
point
I
of
would
view.
say another answer, which is quite interesting, is that it depends on speed to market and what customer experience you want to deliver. Because
Yeah,
let's be honest, even Nike has a shop on Shopify because they wanted speed to market. They just want something fast. They were aware of its limitations, but it also gave what they want: speed to market.
exactly.
But if you want to be special in your customer experience, being able to see the last 100 orders, being able to recommend a certain product because that's what you have been looking for through the steps and so on, then composable might be the one set up to choose. But it depends very much on what you would like to achieve and how special you are. And I think a lot of people going to an SI, they tend to forget that question,
Yeah,
saying, what's important to me? What's important to me is have a standard, simple way of selling my goods. Okay, then let's go for Shopify. Despite that you are a big organization having a revenue beyond 10 billion euros a year, doesn't
complex
matter.
B2B structures or something like that.
Exactly, but it depends on the way that you would like to customize. And the greater customization levels, the more you need to containerize and make it microservices, or as Gartner call it, business packed capabilities. You need to build them separately, and then composability becomes interesting.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you can go far with a Shopify.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. There is no right or wrong, but you have to be really clear on the strategy and then execute the strategy on the right way. That's for sure. But what we also see is that people are choosing Shopify because it seems to be easy, but they are forgetting the whole trap in the middle, meaning integration platforms and so on and so forth. And then they just built Shopify in an API Frankenstack or whatever, yeah, and at the beginning or at the end the process is not working. So you always have to have that integration layer, which we discussed before again. And how should the idealistic journey look like, Toke, if you go from monolithic to a composable world? Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I do have, and as you mentioned, there was only one successful Big Bang to our knowledge, and so actually most companies. So I tend to start the journey saying most companies is stuck on a monolith, one way or the other. It might be a custom build, it might be a software that you have over customized over the years and so on, but stuck on a monolith, and it takes time. What we do see is that step by step, it's much better. So there is a takeover phase where you are in a hybrid mode, where you actually say, so I have a couple of microservices that I'm taking out of the monolith and I'm placing on the other side, because that's where either I differentiate or I can see that I'm completely standard. So I don't have to have all my products into the monolith. I can have a PIM system, or I can drive the commerce engine outside because I don't need the complexity. And once you're there, then what I do see is that a lot of companies are starting to embrace the middle layer thinking, saying, then let's split the stack up into more decoupled components, where there is a middle layer orchestrating the data towards the many different front ends, but particularly the first and simple front end, the web. And from there on, you can add the complexity, but you have now a framework, a building system to actually add that complexity. And that's where you start to go from let's just survive, to let's start to build something for the future. Yeah. And that's the transformation phase. That's where you accelerate your digital transformation, is when you start to understand you can work in those business packed capabilities. And you can do that, you can extend that more and more. Maybe it's in the Mac end. It doesn't have to be Mac end. You can still have some kind of ERP monolith below or supporting that, but it's a building system. It's a way of doing stuff. And that's why I see a transition is in small steps, taking the standard elements out, having a middle layer or an orchestration component, orchestrating the data, and then slowly you can actually decompose the monolith to be as standard as possible.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is exactly what we also see in the industry. Yeah. So many merchants are saying, okay, we need a new system, no matter if it's ERP or PIM or whatever. And then they start trying to replace that system, which is basically integrated point to point to the whole architecture. And if you have once embraced that middle layer or that integration layer in the middle, then basically you're really leveraging the perks of such an infrastructure, because then I'm just hooking in my new system aside to the legacy system below the abstraction layer or the integration layer, and have both the systems in parallel. And from the front end, I'm fetching the best of breed of information from the old one and the new one. So I can do the transition step by step, but really also critical systems like PIM, ERP, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And then if I'm done with the transformation, I just can cut out the old crap and go with a new one. And in the same time, I'm able to build new user experience in the front end, because due to the abstraction layer, they are abstracted, and I can just choose what I need in that case. That's I would say, the secret sauce, and that topic which many of the merchants are not seeing as a perk.
But Marcus, it sounds like you have been reading our marketing go-to-market manual for Interspeed, because that's exactly what we are trying to push to the market. And what I have felt on my own body is that you need that kind of abstraction to actually be able to carve out the legacy. If you just do as you just mentioned, saying, "Oh, I need a new system," so many marketeers are sitting and yelling of. So I hate Sitecore. So if I change Sitecore, everything will be great again. But that's not that will never happen, because old processes in new system is just waste of money. You need
Absolutely.
to do something different when you choose new systems.
Yeah.
And there might be a transition where you still have the old system in place, but that needs to be abstracted away in some way or the other. And that's exactly the point why we, during COVID-19, was sitting in our basement and thinking there must be a product for doing that abstraction, because otherwise you end up being equally stuck, not necessarily on systems, but also on the ones who are building that abstraction layer.
Absolutely.
And if you're building that custom, then you are equally on the login phase. So it's spot on what we have been thinking for so long.
And if you build that custom, maybe we're closing that topic with that quote. You're not differentiate where you have really your perks, because then you're just building a custom middleware, and this is basically not where you should differentiate, rather commoditized software which you just can buy and use leverage out of it. Perfect.
Then you're just screwing up best of breed, right?
Exactly. So happy to see your opinionated view on that. Yeah, let's discuss that with the audience later on LinkedIn.